Right, we are very pleased to have able to make a very last-minute change to our schedule, and if you haven't visited the schedule today, you're probably wondering what the change is. Several of us had the opportunity to go through yesterday afternoon and visit the Durban Maker Space, which is in Station Drive, which is about 10 minutes from here, which to my great chagrin, as having lived in Durban proper for more than 15 years, I have never been to and didn't know was there. The 4 people with me had a better excuse. They don't live here. I do live here, and I'd never been there, which is a bit embarrassing. But we discovered Stephen Gray here, who's the, what you call yourself, proprietor, runner, chief bottle washer of the makerspace, all those things. Yeah. All those descriptions apply, is kind of runs that makerspace and is very much our kind of person and is very much involved in the kind of thing we care about. So we thought we'd take a couple of minutes of all of our time and hear from Stephen. So, Stephen, please.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, most people call me Steve, even though my name is Stephen, but you call me whatever you want. Chief Unicorn Wrangler. So the Makerspace is about helping people through creative application of technology. And it's actually a formal nonprofit, so we registered in 2018 after we won Google Impact Challenge. But we've been doing the work since 2013, so it's been 10 years. I just put the slide up because I sometimes talk at big events just to create a little bit of credibility. That's me showing Prince Harry how 3D scanner works and demonstrating some Wi-Fi enabled robots back in 2015 or 16, something like that. And then I also had the privilege of doing a little TEDx talk. But what I'm really passionate about is making things. So this is just a nice photo of some friends of mine who came to one of our early events. And if you speak to Jeremy, you know, we can superimpose 10 years later his face next to his wife's face, making these t-shirts that we made last night ourselves. So it was DIY. And that's just a universal joy of making things. So it's kind of what the driving force behind the makerspace. You know, we talk about the first industrial revolution, and it was started by people unqualified to lead a revolution. They were not part of the formal economy, and they basically mechanized production of textiles. And it started in garages and little, you know, side venues, not in the center of the industry, which I think is pretty cool. And that's what the makerspace has been about for me. But fast forward to today, and you get this situation. So I'd like to ask you guys to be so kind as to tell me, throw out a few guesses of where this guy is and what is the context. Just for 15 seconds. Somebody give me something? He's where? School residence. Okay, no, come on, keep going. At a? Nursery. No. It's a nursery of some sort. What day is it? It's a Sunday. He's at church. He's in the nursery of the church. He's got his phone next to him and he's working on his computer. This is the lives that we live these days. And there's something wrong with that, you know, if you think about it. So this is the modern life, and just like a little challenge to us all that we sometimes need to actually say no to things. This is a cute video, which you're not going to see because we converted it, but this is my son at 11 years old teaching a room full of engineers how to code on Scratch. And he's going through logic loops, and it's pretty amazing. And that's the power of self-directed learning, because he was very interested in games from when he was young. And so I said to him, for every hour you play games, you got to make a game. So, you know, by default, as a kid, he was motivated to teach himself how to code, and he learnt in 3 years quite a lot. And so even though he was only 11 years old, it's 3 years of compounded learning on top of each other. And that's just a little takeaway in terms of self-directed learning, which is something we're very passionate about. This is a makerspace, I think, in Scandinavia, sort of a classroom / playroom / learning space. And that's kind of a dream type of environment we'd want all our kids to enjoy, and something that my mission to try and bring that to South Africa, things like that. This is a makerspace we built in a school up in Joburg, private school. They had the budget, which is great, but yeah, the whole idea is to enable people to learn things. You know, there's this rise of artisanal skills over the past 10-15 years, and more value going back into things that are handmade. I know you guys have all seen the 4-hour story, but I just like the word revolution in this 4-hour thing. So I just put this up there to just remind people that if there is a fourth industrial revolution, we need to see some revolutionary symptoms. We can't just have the corporates branding it and selling more widgets. So a new system, and then I was looking at this morning, and I thought I put this originally. These are thoughts back from like 2014, and I was looking at it and seeing some of these things are actually happening more and more. There's definitely this move towards more responsible citizenship. There's global influences in every vertical, where it used to be about the one superstar, the Michael Jordan sells to everyone. Now it's like all these influences and all that stuff. A lot of interesting is a move that happens when the revolution happens. This is just about bad product design, not giving people what they actually want, which is more hard drive space. And most people aren't bold enough to use a bit of duct tape, but that's sometimes what you got to do. This is kind of the work we do. So this is Skulile Manzini. He came through our development program as an intern in 2018. And he started a small business because he couldn't find employment after his degree in mechatronics. He wasn't very good at English. I sent him, somebody asked me, have you got any guys that are pretty good on technology? We kind of run this business, 3D printing and stuff. I sent him there and then I sent him back. I said, sorry, his English is not good enough for us. And so he was stuck. And so what he did is he learned, so obviously being at the Makerspace, how to use a laser cutter. He learns how to make a leather wallet. He learns how to brand the wallet with people's names. And he started selling it on Twitter. And 18 months later, from being unemployed, I asked him, so how's it going? He said, no, it's going pretty well. And I said, well, what did you turn over this month? And he said, 50,000 Rand. And for me, that was like a real win in terms of this 10-year journey, because it has taken a lot of investment and time and energy and effort. And so to have somebody go through that process and come out with a meaningful livelihood, and that's become the focus of our work. So I was telling the guys yesterday, we started off much more as a club, much more as a fun thing for people, maybe more like us, a little bit more nerdy, a little bit more like about what we enjoy. And over time, I realized that the best and the most deep impact we can have is on people's income and on their livelihoods. And the people who need that the most are people who are unemployed. So that's become our focus, since we've kind of formalized as a nonprofit. And that's pretty much the work we do. We've been funded by Google. We've had funding from the United Nations, from some French industry and the different agencies and all that stuff. But it's a really huge challenge, like running a nonprofit and trying to keep the lights on. And you go from funding to funding, and there's always a gap. And we've done a lot of youth development work and trying to help people to learn new technologies and then use that technology to create a livelihood. We've worked a little bit on sustainability. This is one of our innovators who upcycles waste. Sorry, I just had to put those little faces on because I saw earlier about the whole anonymity thing in this, unfortunately, the world we live in. But yeah, these little kids, we met them a few months ago through a project where we've been making recycled blocks, and I had met some of the guys outside from Barrows who are here, and and that's actually happening in their factory. We've got a little machine set up we've employed 5 people to make these little blocks, and that's just part of the local innovation that we do. And then something that has been a sort of art project of mine for the last 5 or 6 years. It's cost me, I hazard a guess of about 500K in terms of salaries, in terms of investment in time and equipment and materials. And it has never gone anywhere except, just making these beautiful things, but they don't know how to sell them. I don't know what to do with them. And eventually kind of shut down the production a few months ago. So that I'll get to that point of that at the end. But David was quite keen on that and saying he really thought that there's some value in this 3D ceramics. The story is we actually made the machine that makes these ceramics. So sorry about the bass. So this is sort of a local innovation story. We developed the machine in about 2 weeks and got it printing its first little bit of clay, but it wasn't very reliable, and it took about 2 years to get it to be reliable and some sort of production system. Yeah, and so that is the ceramic printer. Safiso ran the project for about 2 years. He's now employed in Joburg, and we built this off open source designs, built in South Africa, locally here. And it was an accomplishment. Unfortunately, like I said, it didn't really go anywhere, but um, this is life. So I guess before I ask for help, I need to make sure I've landed the point of like we actually do meaningful work. So I don't know if I nailed that or if I rushed through it a little bit, but we have had the privilege of developing about 50 young people who were unemployed, and they now are employed. 85% of them are employed. That's our conversion ratio. We take a view that it takes a long time to transform somebody from being unemployable to employable. And so there's an investment that's required, and we take like the work very seriously, and we do a deep work with people over a long duration, going into in depth of all areas of their lives, including their mental and health and their soft skills, and help them to be ready for the industry or for self-employment and entrepreneurship. So that's kind of the sort of why we exist. In the background, we have this facility that's open to everyone, where people can come and use equipment, can collaborate and work together, have fun, and find a way to use technology in a creative way. The projects I'm working on at the moment is we're currently recruiting to develop 40 people over the next 6 months. Some in the retail space and e-commerce, some in solar installation, and then some of them will be digital manufacturing, where we're teaching them how to use 3D printers, creating a platform for them to use as a way to price their services, and empowering them to get out there and sell that to their local market, and as well as unlocking new value in older robots. So these are 3 projects that I just thought of after chatting with David, in terms of where people like yourself, you've got sort of a very deep knowledge of software and able to solve complex problems that we otherwise wouldn't be able to solve. Opportunities that I've seen through the last 10 years of work. So my latest project is this idea of taking industrial robots, which cost about, if we say 1.5 million rand for a certain level of capability. You could buy the same robot for 150,000 rand that's 15 years old and it's been decommissioned, but still able to do the job. But it runs on very old technology. It's very robust, but it's also very locked down. And so you're stuck with the system integrators and the suppliers who will charge you ridiculous amounts for licenses for their software, and their software is not very good to start with. And so you're very limited with the return on investment. You have to make a lot of money out of those robots to make it worthwhile. And so I'm looking for a way to unlock new functionality in old robots, and to teach people who wouldn't be able to use the old technology because of how complex it is, sort of like David was presenting earlier, of taking away some of those layers of complexity and giving people a tool that can do things, and they can apply that tool to the things that they need to do, without having to learn how shift registers work and other sort of complicated things. There's a whole sort of program that I've started and I'm trying to work through. And then the laser space, that's a driver of revenue for any makerspace. The laser cutter that we have in our site, you guys can come, if you become a member, it's 600 Rand a year, and you have access to the laser cutter, and you pay per use, but it's a third of what you would pay commercially for that service. And there's an opportunity for us to build a web-based laser cutting quoting software. So there's an online business called Send Cut Send in America. They do a lot of steel laser cutting, but the point is you can go and just upload your file and get a price straight away. And that's a game changer for commerce. If you can get your customers to get a price, they can make a decision and they can place an order. And so, Inkscape uses Python like as an engine in the back of what's going on there. And the files that we use are vector files, so it'll be like an SVG or DXF. We can calculate the path length. We can then work out the cut speed, put in work out the duration. That'll give us a cutting time, which we price, and then we add the material size to that, and we could work out automatically a price. And that would significantly change our business, or our commercial business, that would then empower us to do this kind of work and to expand our footprint across Africa. So that's something that would be amazing. And then the third thing was the ceramic printing, more of an art project, may or may not be commercial, but potentially it could. Having a 3D, like a web-based 3D object creator where you could customize the object on your screen, and you could press render, and it would automatically generate a path that would spit out G-code that would go into the printer and print the object. And so you could also close the loop on that creation where someone can go and design their own coffee cup, press print, go straight to the printer, prints it, and get shipped to them like a week later, glazed ceramics. And I think there's also potentially a commercial opportunity in that. So I hope I didn't sell too hard. That's my contact details if you want to scan that. And then just WhatsApp me and introduce yourself. And if you want to come visit the Maker Space, or you want to just, let me know what you're up to and where you work. And if you want to learn anything more, come have a chat. So I think that's pretty much what I have to say. There's just one more point that I want to cover, which is probably the most important point, and that is animatronic 3D printed unicorns, fire breathing. It's something we need to aspire to, guys. I want you to just look at that and just be inspired. It's going to get you through the weekend. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. You can see why we were kind of very impressed and very taken with the stuff that Steve does. Most of us work purely in software. I know James and a couple of you other guys have FPGAs and other pieces of equipment on desks, but most of us work in software, and that was a kind of an indication that creativity and this kind of coolness is both in our field and in Steve's and in many other people's, obviously, as well. But we just want, well, two things. We thought that was quite cool, and thank you, that was very awesome. And also, we have had discussions in the last couple of days with quite a few people who've been looking for ways that they can use their skills to make a difference. This is one, and definitely one of those ways. I don't know if Steve, presumably there are maker spaces elsewhere around the country as well, I assume. So, I mean, you could potentially find a local one as well. But this kind of thing is the kind of thing we thought we'd definitely want to connect ourselves up with. Quite a lot of us are looking for somewhere to use some of the skills we've got to help make a difference, and this is one of a very different, interesting way that you could do that. Has anybody got any questions? David?
Are you open the rest of today or on the weekend? I know some people will be in town, so could they come and check it out, and how? Yeah.
Well, the recording doesn't really help.
All right, so guys, we open every weekdays 8 to 5 every day, and we'll be open until 5 p.m. this afternoon. And if you want to come and you need to come later, I can also arrange for someone to stay later. And if anybody does want to come on Saturday, just let me know. Like, you got my WhatsApp there, and I can ask somebody to open for you. It's obviously better to visit when there's people there doing stuff. It's a bit more inspirational, but I think just reach out. That would be the first step. Just use my contact to send me a message, say you're interested, you want to know more, you've got another idea, you want to see what we do. Yeah, feel free. There's a guy at the back there. Did you have a question? No. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for doing that for us. Should notice we only mentioned this idea to Steve at about 5 o'clock yesterday, and he thought, well, no problem, he'll show up, fine, produce some slides, show himself meeting Prince Harry, etc. Yeah.